It's Thursday, February 26th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. A coastal wind power farm could soon offer customers a new source of energy. The sobering reality of retail theft. A liquor store is closed by crime.
Sunny tomorrow with fair weather to get the weekend started. Temperatures turn a bit colder, though, early in March.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Power customers could soon have a new source of energy to plug into. For months, Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston has touted the potential of wind energy to power the province. Today, a project was announced with Ottawa on board to harness the wind on the South Shore. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness has the details.
Competition is coming for power customers across Nova Scotia.
I think it's definitely time people are looking for choice. They're looking for competition in the market.
It's coming in the form of renewable energy produced by the Mersey River Wind Project. It's been 4 years in the making. Renewable Energy's president, Dan Roscoe, says electricity will be sold directly to residents and businesses.
Renewables rates will be competitive with Nova Scotia Power's rates, with the benefit that they will be locked in over long term.
The federal government backed the project through a $206 million loan from the Canadian Infrastructure Bank.
And to support the development of this wind farm along the Mersey River, which will include installation of 33 wind turbines and related grid infrastructure. We are really proud to see this project produce almost 150 megawatts of zero-emission electricity.
That's enough to power 50,000 homes. The federal Minister of Energy and Natural Resources also committed $5 million in funding to support the next stage of the province's offshore wind project.
It is truly a world-class resource. It has got some of the best capacities anywhere in the world. And if we can harness that energy using the best technology in the world, it's an opportunity to bring energy-intensive industry right here to Nova Scotia.
As for a timeline, Phase 1 of the Mersey River Wind Project will be delivering power to Nova Scotians early next year. Jonathan McGuinness, CTV News, Hunts Point, Nova Scotia.
And the federal Minister of Energy and Natural Resources joins us in studio just after 6:30. You can read more on all this at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. A verdict in the Jansen Baker double murder trial could come any time now. The trial has wrapped up and the jury is deliberating over a verdict. CTV's Derek Haggett has the latest from Moncton Court.
Justice Cameron Gunn gave his final instructions to the jury today in the Jansen Baker double murder trial, and now the waiting begins as the jury has begun deliberations. Gunn told the jury to examine all the evidence as a whole and to consider it carefully without prejudice. It's your role, not mine, to determine the facts of this case, he said. The jury was told to disregard any television, radio, newspaper, or social media reports on the trial, which took roughly 8 weeks. Baker has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 78-year-old Bernard Saunier and his wife, 74-year-old Rosemarie Saunier. The couple was shot and killed in their Dieppe home on September 7, 2019. Gunn advised the jury to not take into account the accused has been arrested for offenses in the past, saying that is irrelevant to their decision-making process. The 29-year-old was called as a witness by the defense last week and repeatedly told the jury he didn't kill the couple. "I am not a killer," Baker emphatically said to the jury. Gunn reviewed all the evidence and witness testimony in great detail. He explained the process for deliberations and told the jury to take as long as they need. Through a draw, 2 jurors were excused, reducing the number to 12 as per the Criminal Code of Canada. The jury was sequestered just after 4 o'clock. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
Nova Scotia actor Mike Smith of the Trailer Park Boys has pleaded not guilty to 1 count of sexual assault. Smith's lawyer entered the plea on his behalf today in a Dartmouth courtroom. The actor, best known for playing Bubbles in the long-running TV series, was charged last October following a reported sexual assault in 2017 involving a female complainant. Smith's trial in provincial court is scheduled for 3 days in early October. Retail crime strikes again, this time forcing the closure of a downtown Halifax liquor store. As CTV's Vanessa Wright reports, in less than a year, theft at the NSLC location reached unprecedented levels.
Tucked away inside Scotia Square, this liquor store can be tricky to find, but criminals have had no problem walking out with bottles day after day. It's gotten so bad, NSLC announced it's shutting it down. Telling CTV News in a statement, this location faced ongoing challenges, including limited accessibility, low sales, as well as safety and security concerns, including increased theft.
Well, it is disheartening. It's not a complete surprise in terms of the impact that shoplifting is having. We're hearing this from a lot of our businesses. We're seeing this in police stats. The shoplifting continues to be on the rise.
NSLC says theft has been an issue at all their locations, but is more prevalent in some stores than others. Between April 2025 and January 2026, NSLC saw a 15% increase in the number of theft incidents across their stores. They reported a 160% increase in the number of thefts at the Scotia Square location in that same time period.
I'm not shocked, sadly. Yeah, I think given its location, the bus terminal's busy, it's talking about theft, so I'm not surprised yet.
I've been hearing that that's a growing problem with thefts lately. I'm surprised that it's that high. I would not have guessed that in a liquor store, but I guess the numbers are the numbers.
The store closes on Friday. McKinnon says theft is affecting businesses in downtowns across the country, a problem he believes all levels of government needs to address.
And we're hoping that with some new legislation that's coming from the federal government, that police will be more empowered to deal with repeat offenders.
Now, the safety of employees was definitely a concern. NSLC and Scotia Square say that is their top priority, even with teams in place to protect against these incidents. I can also tell you the employees knew about this closure for about a month, and their jobs don't seem to be affected, Todd.
All right, Vanessa, at the liquor store in North End, Halifax. Thank you for that. All right, let's make this a CTV web poll, and we are asking, what is the best way to prevent theft in stores? Your options are more surveillance cameras, more security guards in stores, or tougher penalties for shoplifters. And you can vote at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Fredericton's St. Thomas University will not close or merge with the University of New Brunswick. We reported the other night a potential merger was a possibility being looked at to cut provincial spending. There was a lot of fear on campus this week after that idea was presented, along with a number of others by government officials. But the university's president claims he's been assured by Premier Susan Holt that STU will not close or be folded into UNB. The province is trying to find $35 to $50 million in reductions within the post-secondary education department before the budget is tabled next month. There's a live look at Masstown, Nova Scotia, the Masstown Market. Many folks will recognize that on the drive between Halifax and Moncton. It's currently at the freezing mark. The sun shining on the lighthouse as we bring in CTV meteorologist Kayla Mitchell for our first look, and a lovely day it was.
That's a familiar sight for me because a lot of times in the summer I go camping in that area with my son, so oftentimes we pop into the Masstown Market, pick up
Popular
a few
spot.
things. Although I am very much only a summer camper, so I'm used to the temperatures registering a little bit higher than that by the time around the Masstown area. This evening around the Maritime, we've got partly cloudy conditions and some scattered flurries. Flurries right now showing up on radar across northern areas, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and some locations in Cape Breton. That's following up in behind that weak low pressure system that did bring in some snowfall amounts last night into this morning of up to around several centimeters of snow for a few parts of the Maritimes, and a couple locations in Cape Breton reported some snowfall totals 10, 11, 12 centimeters. Of course, there was some melting from the snow today, as well as the temperatures came up on the plus side of the scale. Cloud outlook for tonight, so it's partly cloudy out there this evening. The clearest conditions for Nova Scotia will actually be between around now and midnight. Around midnight, there is expected to be some high cloud cover that spills over off of the Atlantic into that province. Fairly clear conditions, though, expected by around and after midnight for both New Brunswick, and a few clouds around Prince Edward Island. Makes it a pretty decent night for some night sky viewing around a good portion of the Maritimes. It's a waxing gibbous moon, 75% illuminated. wind. That'll be high over the eastern horizon this evening. If you spot the moon, you look directly below it, you'll see the planet Jupiter. And if you're quick enough and you have a nice view of the western horizon, you can spot the planets Venus and Saturn setting just after sunset. If you're up early tomorrow morning, there's a good pass from the International Space Station from the northwest to the east. It starts at 5:34 a.m. Todd.
All right, thank you. We'll see you for the full forecast later. Too many people who should be in care homes are in New Brunswick hospital beds. The health minister is promising a plan is coming to address the need for long-term care facilities. It comes after a health network CEO warned it's a crisis situation. CTV's Laura Brown has more.
These clinic rooms are rarely empty. The Nakawic Health Centre looks after 2,700 people, so there's usually patients being seen back to back. But it's the latest to get money from the Susan Holt government to expand. More space, doctors and allied health professionals will join the team and treat 1,100 more people, potentially keeping them out of the emergency room.
When people don't have family doctors, they get more sick at home, and then they go to the emergency department. They're more inclined to be admitted. If they're senior, they're more inclined to stay in the hospital for longer than they need to.
That's one of the more serious issues facing New Brunswick's healthcare system: seniors waiting in hospital for a long-term care bed.
We're moving toward having regional nursing homes as opposed to regional acute care hospitals.
It's an issue Horizon Health CEO said earlier this month is at a crisis point, with 40% of hospital beds used by these patients who need nursing home care. But the minister promised today a plan is coming.
We have a plan for getting people out of our hospitals, into our communities, into nursing homes, special care homes. And, if we don't make a change, then our number of people in our hospital will just grow.
I've seen pieces of it and looking forward to when Minister Boudreau and her team releases it.
Social Development Minister Cindy Miles was originally part of the team who worked on that plan, but the seniors file was recently handed to the new Minister for Seniors and Long-Term Care, Lynn Chantal Boudreau. Miles and Dornan say New Brunswickers should expect to see that plan sometime in March. All Horizon hospitals are well over 100% capacity right now, meaning there's more patients than beds. Laura Brown, CTV News, Nakawic, Millville, New Brunswick.
We've reported on budget cuts. One area of Nova Scotia government that is expanding: seats in Province House. The Nova Scotia legislature will add a member, bringing the total of ridings to 56. The province introduced legislation today that will divide the riding of Inverness into two ridings, creating a new seat in Cheticon. Inverness MLA Kyle McCrory will remain while a by-election is held to fill the new seat. That vote will be held within the next 6 months.
So I would expect a by-election in a timely fashion, but I know the Premier typically wants to follow what the court said. I've talked to him about that. He said follow what the court said, and we don't want to have a new constituency in Nova Scotia that doesn't have representation, so I think you'll see it sooner than later.
This creates 4 protected Acadian districts, including Argyll, Clare, and Richmond. Acadians were the first European settlers in Nova Scotia. A ship in St. John Harbour is creating waves. It's carrying liquefied natural gas from Australia in what's believed to be the first shipment of the resource from that country. As for what this means for the future of LNG on the East Coast, here's CTV's Avery McRae.
St. John LNG provides 20% of the natural gas needs to the Northeast United States and parts of our region. It does this by getting imports of liquefied natural gas from a wide range of countries at its Port City terminal. But never before has the valuable resource sailed into the Bay of Fundy all the way from Australia. The site is faint, but on the outskirts of the St. John Harbour near Lorneville is the anchored Marin Gas Hector LNG tanker. The ship left Australia on January 23rd and arrived in the harbour Wednesday night in preparation of unloading. In a brief statement sent to CTV Atlantic, St. John LNG said, "We confirm that St. John LNG is about to receive cargo from Australia. We have no other comments at this time." It's the first time LNG has arrived at this terminal from Australia, which is over a 25,000 kilometer trip. The shipment has raised the eyebrows of some online, questioning why Canada is getting imports of a resource that is plentiful within its own country. When asked about the shipment today, Energy and Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgson says Nova Scotia is actively working on developing the resource in their province.
We've had many conversations about this, and I can tell you when those resources are developed, we have a lot of allies around the world that want to buy them.
The St. John terminal is the only major facility specializing in LNG in the Maritimes, but it only has the capabilities to import the commodity. A retrofit of the facility to allow for a flow of goods both in and out of the Bay of Fundy has been talked about before, with New Brunswick Natural Resources Minister John Herron saying last summer they are ready to do the work to make that happen. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. John.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Free bus passes for thousands of Halifax students could disappear. The province has cut funding for the program in half, leaving the cash-strapped city to make up the difference. CTV's Hafsa Arif reports.
For students in grades 7 to 12, the bus ride to school has been free. But the Transit Pass program is now one of the casualties of the Nova Scotia budget, with the province cutting $600,000 in funding.
Being able to have the freedom of having a pass so that I didn't have to walk to school every day or drive with my parents was super beneficial, and also helped me go other places and go to work and see my friends and stuff like that.
The program cost about $1.8 million last year. Both the city and the province contributed, but the decision has blindsided municipal leaders.
It was a surprise. We didn't know prior to the announcement this week.
Councillors are already hearing concerns from their districts.
Parents indicating that they're going to have to drive their kids more, or things like kids working after school or volunteering, it's going to have to go by the wayside.
And without the province's contribution, the city faces a tough choice to come up with the shortfall.
Adding something like this to our budget will only increase our budget. We're at the very end of our budgeting process, so bringing in an item over budget at this point is difficult.
For students, the news spread quickly, and so did the concern.
I was in complete disbelief. I was completely devastated because, why would they want to do that to students?
Really sad. Some students say losing the free passes would make daily life harder.
I think it does suck for all my other friends who live out in Spryfield and stuff like that, because now they'll have to pay for the bus every morning and on the way back to school.
Municipal leaders warn cutting free student passes could ripple beyond the classroom.
This is both a short-term hit on congestion and livability in the city, and it has long-term implications as well.
Council will debate the final budget next week, but in the meantime, they're hopeful discussions with the province could restore the program for thousands of students who rely on it every day. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Halifax.
We're going to step aside now. Still to come, clearing skies, but it will bring colder temperatures tonight. Kaylin has the full forecast. But next, turning the page on publishing.
It's really, really devastating to our industry right now.
Singled out in the Nova Scotia budget, publishers fear the end of their industry. Stay with us. The ink has barely dried on the Nova Scotia budget, but publishers fear for their industry. Grants they rely on to produce books have been slashed. Here's CTV's Callum Smith.
It's unboxing time at Halifax's Nimbus Publishing, bringing local stories to life.
The budget was defend Nova Scotia, but Nova Scotia stories and Nova Scotia culture are a big part of that.
So she was crushed to hear from the provincial government saying a $700,000 publisher assistance fund was axed.
It's really, really devastating to our industry right now.
Already having a skeleton crew means an even steeper uphill battle.
We have to look at, totally look under the hood and find out what can go, because we just can't absorb another $200,000 or $300,000 in cuts.
That's only one of the cuts that will impact writers and publishers. The Artists in Schools grant was something that Danielle Metcalf-Chennai benefited from, covering fees to go to classrooms, now gone.
Schools themselves don't have enough funding in order to pay for them themselves, so they rely on these extra top-ups, basically, these cost-sharing measures in order to bring authors in.
At this bookstore, the general manager writes to her MLA, bothered by what budget cuts will mean for the tourism-driven shop, anchored by local books.
We sell thousands of books a year to people from the United States, from Europe, from all over the world, who come back every few years looking to read more Nova Scotian authors because they like what they find here.
Carol Bruneau, an author of 30 years, candidly upset.
It's appalling. It's just disgusting, and it's completely insensitive to what makes our province great, what makes it special, you know, the kinds of things that attract people to our province.
Wanting answers as to why and calling for the cuts to be reversed.
What is Premier Houston going to do to fill in the gaps of all of the people that will be thrown out of work, all of us whose careers will just be trashed?
Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
International news now. American and Iranian officials met in Geneva today for nuclear talks. This round of indirect negotiations happened while the White House continues to build up power in the region. NBC's Keir Simmons reports.
Well, the talks broke up this evening after what the Omani foreign minister said was significant progress. Oman has been mediating these talks in Geneva, but they did continue for hours and there was no breakthrough. And President Trump has a large amount of air power, naval power and air defenses now in this region in the Middle East, preparing for a potential strike on Iran. The Americans have been signaling that they would want to see a complete cessation of Iran's nuclear program. In other words, no nuclear weapons for Iran. The Iranians have been saying they would be prepared to do that, but that they would still want a civil nuclear program. There is a lot of mistrust between these two sides, and both sides have been threatening each other. Whether these talks really are able to bridge that gap is a question that may take longer to answer. Keir Simmons, NBC News, Dubai.
To start the day tomorrow, it will be chilly. But the good news is the week wraps up with sunshine. Kayla Mitchell has the full forecast when we return. If you're going to skate outside, -1. Kayla Mitchell.
That's what you want, right?
That's what you want. It offers Square, downtown Fredericton, and some people doing just that. And they have the benefit of some light in the sky.
Oh, yes. Still picking up just over 3 minutes of daylight.
Wow.
Now. Yeah.
Okay, so we talk about Fredericton, but we want to focus in on our friends in St. John's because, boy, they may be breaking yet another snow record.
Yeah, so I've been reading up on this. I haven't been able to officially confirm it yet, but it does look like that St. John's, at the airport at least, set a record for its snowiest February on record, and potentially its snowiest month on record, period, at, I think, approaching 175 centimeters of snow. It's interesting because I think Toronto was talking about this winter being one of their snowiest winters on record at sitting 170 centimeters of snow in total.
In total.
In total. But
and
then, you know, Newfoundland and St. John's, just like 1 month.
And that doesn't take into account drifting and all the rest.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. So again, that's unofficial right now. Hopefully you can confirm it here over the next couple of days as we close out this month. Let's take a look at what's going on across the country. And looking out west right now, it's pretty mild to Vancouver and Victoria, sitting at 11 degrees. And through parts of the prairies as well, 9 at Calgary and 3 at Saskatoon, 4 at Regina, seeing some sunshine. Chillier into Manitoba. There is still some colder air, though, you can see up north. Whitehorse right now, -22, and Yellowknife at -29. And the fact that there is some colder air there and a little bit of it is expected to break down is going to play into our extended forecast, which does look like we will have a quick shot of some colder air to start off next month, March. Taking a look at conditions off towards the east, we've got -3 at Toronto right now, sunshine. Montreal sitting at -6, -3 at Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and then +1, Fredericton, Charlottetown, and St. John's, currently sitting at 2 degrees at Halifax. I want to talk about that next little shot of colder air. So this area of high pressure is expected to come down out of the north. Now, the circulation around these high pressure systems is clockwise. So that's going to work to push that colder air that's currently up north down to the south out ahead of it. So as we make our way through this weekend, that kind of breaks down through parts of the prairies, including Manitoba, and then into parts of Ontario as well as Quebec. And then for us, the start of next week, basically Sunday into Monday, it looks like we'll tap into that colder air out of Quebec, and it'll come down into the region. And you can see the start of next week, which is March 2nd there on Monday. Quite cold for all three maritime provinces, so it does look like that cold is going to be moderating fairly quickly, with temperatures moderating a fair bit even into the Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. For tonight, though, temperatures are going to be getting colder, and that happens as the skies clear up a little bit for New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island. There will be some cloud that drifts in off the Atlantic for Nova Scotia, and the winds become northwest, once again bringing in colder air off the continent. Pretty clear but cold start to the day on Friday. Good deal of sunshine expected throughout the day for Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, much of New Brunswick. There might be a bit more of a mix of sun and cloud for western areas of New Brunswick. Winds in the forecast for tonight becoming northwest. They'll be sustained around 10 to 20 kilometers per hour, and tomorrow the sustained winds about the same strength, 10 to 20, but accompanied by some brief gusts between 20 and 40 kilometers per hour, so breezy. Taking a look at low temperatures in the forecast for tonight, they do take a little bit of a tumble in New Brunswick. They'll be falling for many communities into a range around -10 to -16, -8 at Grand Manan and -9 at Moncton. Down to around -8 tonight for Summerside, Charlottetown and Prince Edward Island, and many communities in Nova Scotia tonight with low temperatures between -3 and -8, though -10 at Amherst. Highs in the forecast for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick between -3 and -6, so certainly chillier than it was today. Down through central and southern areas of New Brunswick, high temperatures tomorrow between -4 and -1. For Prince Edward Island on Friday, your high temperatures include -4 at O'Leary and Cavendish and Charlottetown, -5 at St. Peter's Bay and Montague, and -4 at Surrey. In eastern Nova Scotia for tomorrow, including Cape Breton, the North Shore, and the eastern shore, most of the high temperatures between 0 and -4. For northern and central parts of the province, high temperatures for tomorrow away from the Atlantic coastline between -3 and 0. On the Atlantic coastline between about 0 and 3 degrees. The Annapolis Valley tomorrow with a high of around -1 on the south shore of Nova Scotia. Coastal communities, high temperatures around 2-3 degrees, so Yarmouth could be a little bit chillier at around -1. Taking a look at the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick, it's a mix of sun and cloud on Saturday. Flurries come in on Sunday, and that colder air that we looked at earlier follows in behind that, and that's around for the start of next week. And sunshine in the forecast for Tuesday, snow possible on Wednesday, and a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday. For Nova Scotia, it's a pretty sunny end to the weekend, start to the weekend. Now on Sunday, increasing cloudiness with flurries, colder temperatures arriving Sunday night into Monday. On Tuesday of next week, it is sunny, a mixture of snow and rain possible on Wednesday. And for Prince Edward Island, some pretty fair weather conditions leading into the start of the weekend. That's followed by flurries on Sunday. Colder temperatures Sunday night into Monday. Sunshine on Tuesday of next week, followed by a mixture of snow and rain on Wednesday, Todd.
All right. Thank you, Kalen. Next, the Federal Minister of Energy joins us to talk wind and selling power. We're back in 2 minutes.
Okay, so we're back at it tomorrow, the Virgin Radio Vault. Get that clue starting at 6:10. Your chance to win the prize inside.
And around 7:30, we'll be giving away our $100 gift card to Bikini Village. Good luck.
Welcome back on this Thursday evening. As you saw earlier in the newscast, Ottawa is providing a loan to get a wind farm moving on Nova Scotia's South Shore. It's a provincial project. Our guest tonight was there. The Federal Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Tim Hodgson, joins us in studio. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
That was a bit of a homecoming for you this afternoon.
It was. As a boy, I grew up in Barrington Passage, Nova Scotia, so it was good to be home.
Why does this make sense for your government to invest in?
We want to take advantage of Canada's position in the world. We're in a world that we have to engage in as it is, not as we wish it would be. We need to build. We need to build and take advantage of our strengths. One of the real strengths that we have as a country is relative to other countries, we have some of the cheapest retail and industrial electricity in the world. We need to keep it that way as we move to a net zero world, and as the world uses a lot more electricity because of things like AI. Developing wind, which is a phenomenal resource, is a key way to do that. Nova Scotia in particular is blessed with great onshore wind, and as we were talking about today with Premier Houston, you've got an exceptional offshore wind resource, and so this is one of the first steps in developing that resource.
Well, certainly the Premier has been very bullish on Wind West, seeing it as a way to power the economy, to sell it beyond Nova Scotia. Critics have argued that it's just been a lot of talk to this point, that there hasn't been much more than memorandums of understanding. You have said for projects to get the green light for major projects, as Wind West has, that it needs proponents behind it, that it needs private capital. Have you had any indication that that is happening, that that is going to exist to move that project beyond the talk?
So what I can tell you is when other countries understand the capacity that the level of wind that we have, their jaw drops. It's some of the best wind resource in the world. What we need to do is work with potential proponents on how to unlock that. And we've started that discussion. The $5 million pre-feed study that we've given money to, and Halifax, the province of Nova Scotia, is contributing to, is the first step in doing that. So we are engaged with Canadian proponents. We are talking with proponents from around the world who've built projects like this before, about how we use the best technology and bring this in the most affordable way for Canadians.
On another matter, an LNG tanker from Australia has docked in the Bay of Fundy in St. John. It's raised some eyebrows that perhaps the longest trip that you could possibly make by sea is bringing LNG into Eastern Canada when we're a country blessed with it. How do you respond to that?
You know, I think Premier Houston is responding to it. He is looking to develop the natural gas you have right here in Nova Scotia. The best resource for Nova Scotia to be developed would be a resource right here, where the royalties from that natural gas would accrue to the people of Nova Scotia. And I can tell you, as I have been around the world, you know, one of the things that's changed in the last few years, like, the world is a very different place. If you're a European today, you will never again allow yourself to be beholden to Russia for your energy security. The Europeans had a very rude awakening with the Ukraine war, where their economies basically came to a screeching halt. They look at that, they look at the need to go to net zero over time. They see natural gas as a transition fuel, and they see what the demand for AI is doing to electricity, and LNG is the solution to that. They would love to buy, they'd love nothing more than to buy natural gas from Eastern Canada.
And when might we start to see that moving in a real way?
So Premier Houston has got a program right now where he's looking to develop the scale and understand the scale of the resource here in Nova Scotia. Obviously, Nova Scotia in the past has had natural gas. It's going to be up to the Premier. It's a provincial endeavor, but we applaud that. We think it's a good idea.
Before I let you go, this afternoon, the leader of the opposition, Mr. Poilievre, was speaking at a luncheon engagement, and he said his party is proposing an energy and minerals reserve, a stockpile of critical materials for the country. Does that make sense? Is that something that's doable?
We're already doing it. I mean, it's a brilliant idea, except we already did it. We have invoked the Defense Production Act, which allows us to stockpile critical minerals, and we're already stockpiling critical minerals. So I'm glad he's supportive because we're already doing it.
All right. Minister, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks.
Appreciate your time. That is the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Tim Hodgson. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
February is Black History Month, recognizing the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes. Founded in 1895 in Nova Scotia, the Colored Hockey League was one of the first organized black hockey leagues in the world, advancing both sport and community pride.
In health headlines tonight, we look at a study that finds heart disease in women is projected to rise sharply within 25 years. CTV's Amanda Debison has more in the Lifeline.
A new study from the American Heart Association warns the number of women living with cardiovascular disease could rise in the coming years.
Reviewing historical trends, surveys, and census estimates, the association says that women could be at greater risk without better prevention and early detection in the next 25 years. The association expects nearly a 4% rise in cases in the U.S. by 2050. Cardiovascular disease is already the leading cause of death for American women. Rising rates of diabetes, obesity, and high blood pressure are among the key causes.
You say you can't imagine your child being diagnosed with cancer, but you can.
A new campaign from Childhood Cancer Canada, titled Let's Face the Unimaginable, is outlining the situations facing families whose children have received a cancer diagnosis.
The first reaction, you're telling someone outside of your circle that, your child has cancer, they immediately go to, I can't imagine what that feels like. And it's almost, that sort of stops the conversation as opposed to driving people into it. Because really, you can.
More than 10,000 families in this country are currently caring for a child with cancer, with an average of 6 new cases a day. You can learn more about the campaign by visiting childhoodcancer.ca. Finally, a British Columbia teen is the first person in the world known to have received and been cured of his rare disease by the breakthrough gene editing treatment known as prime editing. 19-year-old Ty Spurl had been diagnosed with chronic granulomatous disease at age 5, compromising his immune system. After over a decade of treatment during stays at BC Children's Hospital, he says he felt insane shock after learning he'd been cured in the clinical trial. He adds he no longer has to take medications every day or live in fear of contracting a serious infection. The case is described in a peer-reviewed study in the New England Journal of Medicine. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for the Lifeline.
We're on the scene with a new production from Theatre New Brunswick that's been years in the making. CTV's Nick Moore tells us what's behind the delay.
Fight like a lady. Salute.
Heroine is a story of two of history's most famed female pirates who were awaiting execution in the 1700s. It's a tale by playwright Karen Bassett that goes back and forth between comedy and drama.
These women are fighting for agency. They're fighting to be seen and heard and to be who they truly want to be without sort of the tropes and the limitations of femininity, masculinity.
This time, keep to the target.
It first premiered about 15 years ago in Halifax.
I saw it at the Bus Stop Theatre in Halifax, and I loved it.
Natasha McClellan is the artistic director at Theatre New Brunswick, and back in 2020 was choosing what productions to present.
And I knew the season I wanted, and Heroine was definitely part of it.
The show was just about to open, and then COVID canceled everything.
The set sat in there for over a year because we were barely here and we just didn't go back in.
6 years later, the show is back on.
It's doing my heart a lot of good, but if anything goes wrong, I don't know what I'll do.
Actor Melanie LeBlanc was in the 2020 edition of TNB's Heroine and is back for the 2026 revival.
I was really happy. I was also scared because I'm 6 years older than I was back then. I was like, can I still do what I was doing then? Really, it's a gift. It's great to be able to just reopen a book that you thought you weren't going to be able to finish.
It's like closing a chapter, but maybe even opening another.
The production will tour to Fredericton, Florenceville, Bristol, St. John, St. Stephen, Moncton, and Halifax this March. Finally. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
And it's going to be the year of Come From Away in the Maritimes. It's coming to the Neptune Theatre in Halifax this spring. And Charlottetown Festival in the summer, and New Brunswick is not being left out. The wildly popular Canadian musical is coming to Moncton and Fredericton in the fall. This version features an all-New Brunswick talent. A musical about Gander's welcoming of American passengers on 9/11 stars Fredericton-born Broadway star Tony LePage. Come From Away plays the Capitol Theatre in Moncton the first week of September, then the Playhouse in Fredericton the following week. Tickets go on sale next Wednesday. We'll go to break with what's on TV tonight. On the markets, the Dow wrapped the day basically flat. The last of Canada's big banks reported first quarter earnings today. All six posted higher profits. BNN's Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has more.
Shares of CIBC hit a record high today after first quarter results came in above expectations. Profit topped estimates, and the bank reported better than expected results in its capital market business. This marks the second straight year CIBC has beat expectations, and this report also covers the first quarter with a new CEO in charge. Meanwhile, TD Bank reported a 45% jump in first quarter profit that also topped estimates. TD says it saw record revenue in Canada thanks to a rise in loans and deposits. Shares of TD rose as much as 2% today, bringing that stock to an all-time high as well. And shares of Stellantis got a bump today after the CEO said the company expects returns in North America to improve. In fact, it's expecting profit this year will grow the most in the North American sector. This comes after the company scaled back on its EV strategy after seeing a loss tied to demand. And here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 73.09 cents. West Texas Intermediate is up to 65.43. Western Canadian Select also up to end the day to 51.08. And the TSX climbing to yet another new high, finishing at 34,501. And those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
Kayla Mitchell, someone's offering you a hand.
That's right here. My co-host out here on the weather deck over the past couple of weeks, which has been this fantastic ice sculpture, bunny ice sculpture that was done on Your Morning Atlantic, has finally given in a little bit to some of the warmer temperatures and maybe a little bit of rain that we've had. So I don't know, Todd. Maybe I can think of a way to fix them up a little bit here. But yeah, the melt is on. All right, let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. And the picture is coming in from Donna Matheson from River Tillard, Nova Scotia. And speaking of ice, got an eagle out here resting on the ice in front of the water. River Tillard for tomorrow, sunny day. A little bit chillier though. High temperature of around -2. Day planner for tomorrow, start of the day around the Maritimes. Cold start, most morning temperatures several degrees below zero, some down in the minus teens, especially for the province of New Brunswick. The afternoon, though, will be mostly sunny, though a little bit chillier than today, with most high temperatures a few degrees below zero, except around the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia, where there will be some highs between around 1 and 3 degrees. I don't think my co-host out here, Todd's going to mind the colder temperatures that much.
Friday at Your Morning Atlantic, big screen bound.
We'll chat with East Coast actor and hockey player Alexandra McDonald about her role in the upcoming hockey movie Youngblood.
Start your morning with us Friday on Your Morning Atlantic on CTV2 and Crave.
Then at 6 o'clock, how's life? A quality of life survey will soon be heading to households in the region. So what will be gleaned from this report card on well-being? We will ask the group behind it in the newscast tomorrow. Finally for us tonight, the latest musical act to announce a Las Vegas residency is none other than Metallica. Yes, Metallica is headed to Vegas. The band's Life Burns Faster Sphere residency is set for each Thursday and Saturday in October. No songs will be repeated, so fans who attend back-to-back shows get a new set each time. Metallica has been around for 45 years, sold more than 163 million albums. The tickets go on sale March 6th. That is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco will be here at 11:30. CTV News Atlantic.ca in the app have our news updates. I'm Todd Battis. Hope you see you tomorrow. Good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.